Hey, hope y'all are doing well. Let me check my sound. Hey, hope y'all are doing well. Let me check my sound. All right, so anyways, as y'all noticed, live stream hangout topic, no topic picked. I decided today I was not going to pick a topic, so that would give me a chance to go over whatever I feel like going over. And I am live. We'll be live for a little bit. I am sharing this link to some people real quick. I thought that I would do a live stream today, but I haven't had much of a topic picked for today. I have been out and about doing doctor's appointments and all kinds of stuff that I needed to get done. So therefore, I haven't really gone over any of the news or the weather. As y'all can see, it's nice and gray outside. We have some wind. Even though it says it's clear, this camera is flashing in and out. I don't know what's up with that. So, it's not a UFO, but it is weird. I just saw a bird. That's not a UFO. I don't know what to make of this camera. This camera is like having its own hissy fits. So yeah, if you're watching, let me see if I can fix that. So camera settings. Let's pull up camera settings and see what we can do here. So maybe if I bring the brightness down some, no, that won't work. Fix contrast, that won't work. I'm not going to mess with the sharpness. Don't know why it does that, but that is kind of weird. See what happens if I put it on camera. Camera settings doing the same thing. This one was sent to me, so this was a gift. It's not a camera that I have had before, so I'm going to have to figure out what I can do to fix it. Let's see here. Let's maybe move it to a different port. Let's see if that will work. So you're going to see my desktop for a minute. Maybe it's the port that's bad. So we'll try that. That's a little better. Not great. It's still doing the little flashy thing. But anyways, it's a camera, and a camera's a camera. So at least I have a camera. So that's all I can say about that. Anywho, earthquake-wise, we know that there was a 5.2 in California the other day. That 5.2, I am still debating. I believe that it was a lot bigger than a 5.2. I believe that it may have been a 5.5 or a 6.0. And the reason for that is the first aftershock was a 3.9. I have not seen many 3.9s come from a 5.2 earthquake. So therefore, I believe that that may have been a bigger earthquake than they have stated. So let me see here. I don't know where people are today. Let me see here. I don't know where George is. George is usually here by now, but I don't see George. Don't see Heather. Let me see here. Hang on, I'm looking for people. Nope. Okay, so anyways, I'm just looking to see where people are at, and I'm not seeing anybody. But that isn't going to stop me from doing a live stream. I'm going to go over topics. Let me see here. Maybe if I put up, let's see, we'll put up Earthquake 3D. That might be better than the camera flashing. Let me see here. Can I make it smaller? Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Okay, I'm not trying to make that smaller. Okay, it's just that side of the thing that was flashing. Okay, so let's turn off our grid. Do we want outline? Yeah, I want outline. I'll leave the outline alone. So y'all can see I got a flashing sky. And that's Earthquake 3D that is up. So let's take a look at what sized earthquakes we've had recently. Now, I'm just going to do this because this is important when it comes down to checking out your earthquakes. A lot of people don't realize that you can do it this way. So we're going to look at all the magnitude 5s that have occurred. And we're looking at the 13th. The 13th was a very busy day. If we notice the 13th, we've had a 5.5, a 5.5, a 5.2. Let me see here. Yeah, 5.2, a 5.8. A 5.9, a 5.0, a 5.1, a 5.1, 5.0, 6.5, and it ended the day with a 5.0. Now, if we note something from looking at this, we can tell that these earthquakes were happening on the west side of the Pacific Ocean and the east side of the Pacific Ocean. So they were pretty much bouncing back and forth. We're looking here. We also had the Indian Arctic Ridge. South Sandwich Islands. If you look, South Sandwich Islands, South Sandwich Islands. Then we had the West Chile Rise. Okay, so there was bouncing back and forth between the west side of the Pacific and the east side of the Pacific. Then we started the 14th. The 14th, there was a 5.0, 5.3, 5.2, 5.1, okay? Those three occurred, and that brought in the east coast, west coast of the United States. So I believe that this all started back when we had all of these amazing earthquakes on the 13th. So it brought back in Southern California. And Southern California got a hit. The only thing that I haven't seen so far, and you have to give that a minute. What I'm not seeing on here is Alaska or Canada. So let's take a look at NR Canada and let's see what's going on with NR Canada, because these areas will be getting hit. So we're looking at our resources map for NR Canada. I looked at the wrong one. How did I do that? NR Canada earthquakes. So recent earthquakes. We're going to look at by month. And we'll see that on the, let's look on the 13th. On the 13th, there was a 1.3, right? Not a very big earthquake that happened in British Columbia. But on the 14th, there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There was no big earthquakes, but there was a small swarm of 1.0, 0.3, 1.8, 1.4, and 0.3. Those earthquakes occurred in Canada. So we're talking about a day after all of the earthquakes that occurred on the 13th. So look again, you can see all of these earthquakes from here all the way to here occurred on the 13th, and they were all in the 5 to 6.0 range. So when we're seeing all of these on the 14th, we're not seeing very many earthquakes. Well, we're seeing a few earthquakes on the 14th, so we're seeing 3. And then we have the ones that happen in Canada. So you see California, and then you saw the Canada one happen, right? Okay, 7 hours ago, we saw the Atlantic Ocean get a 5.1. Then there was a 5.2 in Bougainville region, Papua New Guinea. So that was back to the west side of the Pacific Ocean. Hope I'm making sense here when I'm trying to state this, because if we're looking on a map, what I'm showing is this. This is, I'm calling this the east side of the Pacific Ocean and the west side of the Pacific Ocean here. So what we're seeing is we're seeing a bouncing back and forth of the earthquakes as they work their way around. What I have not seen yet is Alaska get an earthquake. So I am assuming that Alaska will be next. And that's not my car. Somebody's got a honker going off on their car. So anyways, that is what I'm seeing as far as that. And then we're having to fill in with the Mid-Atlantic Ridge. Okay, hang on 1 second. I wish somebody would shut their car up. God. People so rude sit there and let their car honk for no reason. Ugh. Alright, so our topic so far has been earthquakes. If anybody has any questions, feel free to ask. Right, now I'm going to move on. Now that we've looked at earthquakes, let's see if we have any volcanic activity for today. So, we do have some news. 15 years after a volcano shut European airspace, it could happen again. Poas volcano eruption hurt Costa Rica's tourism economy. And we're still watching Mount Spur, and that's in Alaska. So, when we're looking at Mount Spur, we're still watching Mount Spur. So let me show y'all on Google Earth where Mount Spur is located. Some people do know, some people do not. So let's show y'all where Mount Spur is located. So let me get this in here. Mount Spur. So we're going to Mount Spur here. This is Mount Spur volcano. This is Mount Spur. So what we need to know about Mount Spur is seismic activity is persisting at Mount Spur. Scientists have said that it could mean the Alaskan volcano is poised for possible eruption. Let me turn off this for now. You're too loud. Okay. So, according to the Alaska Volcano Observatory, 55 earthquakes were recorded at Mount Spur last week. On Monday, the AVO said occasional small earthquakes had been reported under the volcano's surface, and no steam was coming from the volcano on webcams or during clear viewing. In an update last week, the AVO said ground deformation around the volcano had paused over the last few weeks. So that is actually good information. However, it could also not be good information. It just depends on if the earthquake activity picks up again and the deformation restarts. It's similar to previous activity at the mountain, according to AVO, but there's a variability in recent earthquakes that have been reported. The AVO said an eruption at Mount Spur is possible in the coming weeks or months, but the exact time frame is unknown. The volcano last erupted in 1992. The volcano is roughly 80 miles from Anchorage, and that's in Alaska. That is the largest city. The event of an eruption, ash could fall over Anchorage, disrupting travel and raising air quality concerns. The Anchorage Office of Emergency Management asked to remind people that planned summer travel could be disrupted in the event of an eruption and to have an emergency preparedness kit in their vehicles. In late March, the Anchorage Emergency Operations Center raised the alert status to a level 2. Due to unrest at Mount Spur, this indicates that a situation requiring increased public information has developed and could require a multi-agency response. AVO said that they plan a flight over Mount Spur as soon as weather conditions allow. So we're still keeping an eye on Mount Spur, and they are expecting that it will erupt in the next coming weeks to months. So that's what I got for you so far as volcanoes. There's another volcano that is being watched, and that's Laguna del Mal volcano. And they're keeping an eye on it after 160 earthquakes in just 2 hours. This is located in Argentina. So let me show y'all where this is located. So this is this volcano here, Laguna del Mal. Right here it's called Mal Laguna del, or Del Laguna Mal, okay? This volcano has seen a flurry of seismic activity that caused 160 quakes in just 2 hours at the Laguna del Mal volcanic field in central Chile, and it has put authorities on alert. 160 quakes occurred in the area during a 2-hour period earlier this week, which served as a stark reminder of the volcanic's complex, active nature. Located near Argentina's border, approximately 300 kilometers south of the Chilean capital Laguna del Mal, is a sprawling volcanic landscape covering 500 square kilometers. The complex comprises numerous volcanic domes, cones, lava fields, and an estimated 130 vents. This is really cool here. And I wonder if there is any views in this area. There does appear to be, so let's go right here. There's lots of different views in this area. Okay, so that's not gonna work. That one does not like me. I guess that was not a good view. Let's see here. Let's try this again. Okay, so come out. There's one over here. Maybe this will be a good one. There we go. That's better. So this is Laguna del Mal. Chile's National Geology and Mining Services, Cernaggonum, has, however, maintained a green alert level, signifying no immediate danger. The quakes were also of low magnitude. The recent seismic swarm underscores the volcano's underlying activity. These are signs that the volcano is active, it has magma, what's inside is moving, and this can lead to a moderate-sized event in the future. And that's coming from the University of Santiago, Chile. So what else we got? All right, 2 days ago, National Volcano Information Service is boosting monitoring of the volcano watch in the island of Hawaii. The eruption at the summit of Kilauea volcano remains paused, with another episode likely to begin in the next 3 to 6 days. And this is 2 days later, so we have anywhere between now and the next few days for another eruption that they assume will happen. Scientists at the USGS Hawaiian Volcanic Observatory continue to monitor Kilauea around the clock. And let's go to Kilauea. So we're going to put Kilauea into Google Earth. For those who don't know where Kilauea is, we are going to Kilauea Volcano. Here we go. This is Kilauea. We have Mauna Loa up here. And then this is Kilauea here. All right, so they are continuing to monitor Kilauea around the clock. And the latest Volcanic Watch article focuses on the National Volcano Information Service. So what they stated is the National Volcano Early Warning and Monitoring System was first authorized by Congress in 2019 to be established within the United States Geological Survey. NVEWS serves as a critical framework for how USGS monitors volcanic activities across the nation so as to provide timely warnings and protect citizens from potential hazards associated with volcanic eruptions. NVEWS, when fully implemented, will operate through an interoperable network of domestic volcano observatories and utilize advanced technological services or tools. Central to the success of NVEWS will be the National Volcano Information Service, which aims to be the backbone of the data management and analysis with the system. NVIS will be indispensable components of NVEWS, integrated cutting-edge information technology solutions to ensure efficient monitoring, accurate data interpretation, and effective communication of volcanic hazards. So, that is what's going on with the Volcano Observatory. They are doing a new service to boost the monitoring. Okay, something else to know about Mount Spur is that volcanic ash is a silent killer, more so than lava. And what Alaska needs to know with the Mount Spur being likely to erupt, okay? Volcanoes inspire awe with spectacular eruptions and incandescent rivers of lava, but often their deadliest hazard quietly falls from the sky. When a large volcano erupts, such as Mount Spur appears close to be doing so, 80 miles from Anchorage, Alaska, it can release enormous volumes of ash. Fine ash can infiltrate the lungs of people and animals who breathe it in, poison crops, and disrupt aquatic life. Thick deposits of ash can collapse roofs, cripple utilities, and disrupt transportation networks. Ash may lack the visible impact of flowing lava, but as geologists who study the disaster, ash travels farther, lasts longer, and leaves deep scars. Volcanic ash forms when viscous magma, molten rock from deep beneath Earth's surface, erupts, exploding into shards of rock, minerals, and glass carried in near supersonic stream of hot gas. Towering clouds of ash rise several miles into the atmosphere, where the ash is captured by high-altitude winds that can carry it hundreds or even thousands of miles. As volcanic ash settles back to Earth, it accumulates in layers that typically decrease in thickness with distance from the eruption source. Near the vent, the ash may be several feet deep, but communities further away may only see a dusting. However, breathing it in can irritate the throat and the lungs, trigger asthma attacks, and aggravate chronic respiratory conditions such as anybody who has COPD. The finest particles pose the greatest risk because they can penetrate deep into the lungs and cause death by asphyxiation in the worst cases. Mild short-term symptoms often resolve with rest. However, the long-term consequences of ash exposure can include silicosis, a lung disease, and possible cause of cancer. The danger increases in dry regions where fallen ash can be kicked up into the air again by wind or human activity. There is a risk to pets and livestock. Livestock face greater dangers if a grazing animal eats volcanic ash. It can damage their teeth, block their intestines and poison them. They also develop respiratory distress, eye inflammation, and paw irritation from exposure to ash. They also experience similar respiratory symptoms, the same as in humans. Back in 2010, when Ijviskull erupted in Iceland, farmers were advised to shelter sheep and cattle because of the ash-contained fluoride concentrations above the recognized safety threshold of 400 parts per million. Animals remained exposed, became sick, and some died. There is a harm to crops, soil, and water. Soil and crops can become damaged. Volcanic ash alters the acidity of soil and introduces harmful elements such as arsenic and sulfur into the environment. While the ash can add nutrients such as potassium and phosphorus that enhances fertility, the immediate impact is most harmful. Ash can smother crops, block sunlight, and clog the tiny stomata or pores. In leaves that allow plants to exchange gases with the atmosphere. It can also introduce toxins that render food unmarketable. Vegetables, fruit trees, and vines are particularly vulnerable, but even sturdy cereals and grasses can die if ash remains on leaves or poisons emerged shoots. So it can poison the emerging shoots from grass and stuff, which will end up killing it. In 1991, Mount Pinatubo erupted, and the vast tract of farmland in central Luzon in the Philippines were rendered unproductive for years due to the acidic ash and buried topsoil. If multiple ash falls occur in a growing season, crop failure becomes a near uncertainty. It was the cause of a historic famine that followed the eruption of Mount Tambora in 1815. So this is just some information as to what needs to be looked out for coming from Mount Spur. As we know, when you have Mount Spur, which is up here, let me show you again. Mount Spur is up here. Then you're going to have wind, which is going to carry ash. Now, if you have any rain, that becomes acid rain. But that wind carries the ash. And then, of course, if you have farming and farmlands up here, then it's going to kill the grasses, the topsoils, and so forth. So that is something to keep an eye on, as well as being prepared, as they have told people to already have a go bag and be ready to evacuate. Okay, so what else we got? All right, you guys. So I've done just a little bit of a live stream. I hope y'all are doing well. Just wanted to check in with y'all. This is a short live stream, and I will be back tomorrow for another update. Anyways, you guys, much love. God bless. Please remember to tell someone you love them. Tomorrow is never promised. And make each day worth it. All right, you guys. Love you, and I will talk to y'all tomorrow.